Alrighty folks, I want to welcome you back for another video from Yates Computer Tips and Reviews. Okay, this is going back into the networking cable category of these videos that I've been doing. Now, this is related to, I've touched on it, you have different kinds of cable. You have solid copper cable and you have the serrated internal cable, the patch cable. Patch cable is usually used for patch panels and other things. And you also want to basically use it from the wall to a phone, to a computer, to a printer. Let's say you have a POS, a micros unit, whatever you want to call them, and you have printers, and you're constantly picking that printer up, cleaning, especially now with COVID and all of these other things that we have going on. You want to be cleaning all the time. So you're going to be taking things, you're going to be moving it. Maybe phones, you're going to move them. Best practice is you always use patch cable to go from the wall to those devices that move. A lot of times if you had a computer that was fixed in a certain location, you didn't have to use patch cable, you just used the standard cable that you ran in your walls. But best practice is to use patch cable, because it's designed to be more flexible, to be handled more than the standard cable that you run in the wall. Your drop lines, your horizontal, all of those type of lines that are not designed to be moved all the time. So there is some advantages to using patch cable. But if you make your own cables and you have your own IT guys and you know how to do stuff, if a cable starts acting up, you can take it out, make a new one, throw it away, and have a new one. But you have a cost there. Yes, it's not that much because you already have it in stock, but those little ends, to have the tools, to have someone there, the time, all these things cost. If you're a home user, you might have things you need to do. Now you're taking time out of what you need to do to fix a problem that came up because you used what you had on hand. That's fine to use what you have on hand, but to plan for what you're going to need in the future. So, yeah, you used what you had on hand, okay? But then order the proper cable you're going to need to replace that one. That's kind of the key thing. I know there's a couple places that I've dealt with that issue where they've had problems with the network, they've had problems with other things, and what it is every night that cleaning crew comes in, they pick that computer up, they put it on the desk, they vacuum underneath, they wipe off that computer, they put it back underneath. So every night that computer is being moved. So that's one of the main issues. So you want to make sure you use the proper patch cable from the wall out to your line or computer or wherever you're going to go to. Could be as simple as maybe you have a switch in a room and you have people that like to dust and wipe off that shelf and all that stuff a lot. You want to use a patch cable. Again, it's more flexible, it can be moved on a daily basis without really hurting the line. So, I know this one's a short one, but this is one of those scenarios that you can come across out on the field that really, if you know this information, will save you a lot of headaches, because you go and you look at, okay, what kind of cable do you have between here and the wall? What kind of cable do you have here and there? Because it might be a certain workstation or it might be multiple workstations, because there's a switch somewhere that they use to standard line. Could be fire rated, it could be all, high-end business grade, proper cabling, except for it's not patch cable. Patch cable is the thin lines, multiple lines, instead of one solid piece of copper. Again, one solid piece of copper. If you know electricians background or any of that, you know the difference. It's the same thing in electrical. What you would use what line for. So that's one of the big variables, because if you're doing a big building install and you're doing a lot of things, you really want to have both kinds of cables. Not to mention, you want to use this in a server room, especially if you're moving a lot of stuff around. But if you're in a situation where you're in an office and there's, even like this room, if I have 2 network ports over here and I have 2 network ports over there, and they're going to be live all the time. They're going to have, those lines are going to be attached to your network, into your server all the time. You're not going to be unplugging them. You're not going to be moving them around. That's poor security. That's a poor security habit to have all those ports live, that anybody can just plug in anything that someone can bring in their own personal laptop and plug into your network. Goes back to viruses, Trojan horses, malware, ransomware, all kinds of things can happen by allowing that. But if you're a business that allows that, or you have it where it's basically covered and nobody can actually get access to it, maybe it's in a locked cabinet, maybe, your computer goes on top and the cabinet is locked underneath or something secure, yeah, that would be great. Leave those ports live. You wouldn't really need a patch cable. You can use the standard cable. Most networks, you probably don't need patch cable in the back, because you're not going to be in there every day. Like the old phone company, oh, you want to connect to Susan's house? And they click you in, so they jump those lines. You're not doing that, hopefully, on a daily basis with this type of stuff. So, but it's handy to have, even on a home base, if you have a network printer. You have anything that you might need to move. You need to put ink in. You need to get back there to get the jam paper or any of those type of things that, you're going to handle. You're going to move that. You're going to move it around. It's going to turn. That cable's going to move because it's still attached, because you're not unhooking it. So those are some of the small factors that I wanted to point out. You could get away with running this in your walls, patch cable, but it's not really recommended because of the strength of the cables in there. Now with the Cat 6, I'd have to review some of the studies, because if it has that inner liner, it makes it a little stronger, but it's designed to be laid out, to be on the exterior and not pulled, literally pulled through the walls. When you pull, you put a lot of pressure on that line as it goes all the way down to where it came from to the box. So this line is not really designed for that. This is designed for devices that move. So those are the basic 2 features that I wanted to cover by this, because there's not a whole lot more to know than that. Platinum rated, all of that type of standards all apply the same to this as it does to that. It's just the wiring on the inside, and why you would want this over the other. So that's why when I said at the beginning of all this, at the very beginning, that this can be confusing, because it's not as simple as, oh, I just grab this network cable and go put it in over here. Because what is this? Yeah, it's a network cable. What category is it? What rating is it? Is it patch? Is it solid? There's a lot of information on these. What it's rated for. Certain Cat 5 cables are rated for different data and different transmission rates and other things. But unless you're in a big business doing a lot of high data, you're probably not going to deal with this. If you've got a 10 gig network or a 5 gig network, you're not going to deal with this kind of stuff. You're going to know what you have. Because that's your bread and butter. You spend a lot of money on having a 5 gig network. You're not going to be having Cat 3 wire laying around. You're not going to have Cat 5 wire just laying around. You might not have Cat 5e wire laying around. You'll have the proper stuff for your network. So this is some of the information I wanted to relay, because yeah, the big guys that have all of this stuff, but how about the medium guys that are looking to be the big guys? This is your information to understand. This is not the same as a big guy. They might be running fiber, they might be running other things for better speeds. So, but you can use copper. The copper generational jump is different. So I wanted to voice that on a video so that you're aware, so you know where to look. You know, oh, okay, so we're going to need better cable. We're going to need better this and better that. So let me wrap this one up. Because I've got so many videos, I'm going to cover so much content. I want to thank everybody for watching. I know it's really short, but I wanted to touch base just on this video, because it's important to have this video out there and known, and so people can reference it. Because you never know when you're going to upgrade, you never know when you're going to change, you never know what you're going to do. That's why I'm doing this one separate. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment. I'll fill them out. Hopefully, by the time this video collection's done, it's looking about 7 videos, you'll have all the information you'll want. At the end, I'll have a big, hopefully a long video explaining all of this, how it all works together, so that you fully understand. Because yes, I want to go a little bit more into detail on each individual video, showing you the connectors, showing you how to jump them together, showing you what a flat cable is, telling you all of these things in detail. And then when I explain it all in one form, if you need to go back and research that one form, you can. Or you can go do your homework online. You know, I'm not going to tell you take everything I say at face value. Go do your homework. Alrighty. Thank you a lot for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying this content. Hopefully this collection will be a big important factor, because I've seen this again out in the field time after time after time, where people have connectivity problems, and by the time you research like why are you having connectivity problems, and really, a lot of times I can figure it out really quick and change things out and get it up, get the network back up, get them back up and running. And then the person who I've worked for or who I've helped out then calls me a week or two later, maybe a month later, goes, oh, we figured it out. So-and-so is doing this, or so-and-so is doing that, or you know, we have 2 guys that use that workstation. One person wants it on the right, one person wants it on the left, so they're moving it back and forth. And that's why the wire's getting moved, and we didn't realize that, and all it took was having the proper gauge, proper wiring to resolve that problem. Once they're aware of that situation, it was really a simple thing. They went through and changed out what they needed to, and they never had another problem. But they knew also, if they see that problem, where to start to look. Because it could be as simple as somebody moved a cable, kinked it. That's one of the big problems with the other line compared to the patch cable. If you kink that or bend it too hard, you can break them. These are a lot more flexible. So this is one of the major factors. But as for troubleshooting and understanding what's going on, this is really one of the key factors. Because I've seen it like on printers and on POS systems where they have a printer, remote printer somewhere that fails, and I go back there and I look and I see what they've got. I know instantly. hey, you got this on hand, you got this on hand, you need to change that out, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's pretty simple. And what was funny is some of them, they go, oh, well, we've known that problem, but we just change the line out every time. Well, if you just get the proper line, you won't have that problem. They didn't realize if you went out and bought a patch cable, the line wouldn't break. They just assumed that was an everyday type of thing. That's the cable they had, that's the connectors they had, that's what they worked with. Well, it was a really simple solution to go out and get the proper kind of cable, and they didn't have that problem anymore. Just those little tiny things, especially if you're a small business and you're paying for a tech support guy to come out to check your network, if you're paying for stuff, these things can save you a lot of money and a lot of time, because your business might be down or something might not be functioning because of something like this. So that helps out for the small business. Homeowners too. That might be something you want to look at. Because if you're at home and your stuff goes down, who do you call? Call a family member, you call someone you know, hopefully they can come over and look at it. You call a shop, you call someone to come out. It could be very expensive. So this might be a good remedy for you if you're having some of these issues. If you have your modem and you have your wireless router and it gets dusty and you're dusting it off a lot and you're moving it, you might want to change to a patch cable. So hopefully that helps a lot of people out that have had headaches, have issues with stuff like that. Alrighty, I'll wrap it up. So that's it for the patch cable compared to a standard drop line. That's the differences between those two. Like I've said, there's a lot of little variances in stuff when it comes to networking and the cables, but once you understand it, it's pretty simple, but there's a lot of info. Alright, watch the full collection. Watch everything on the switches, the routers, the modems. All of this stuff all relays back to this. Shielded, unshielded, ports, networks, RJ45, all of this stuff reverts back to this. Alrighty, thank you.